With that said, we are noticing that the Chinese stocks are actually picking up some momentum, and one stock that has been lagging is Bidu. Bidu literally been slashed in half this year, but we're noticing some bullish divergences. Yes, guys, even overall, we're still bearish on the market. We are bullish on this Bidu trade. Now, this Bidu trade, Bidu is announcing earnings after hours, so this is going to be an interesting one to watch and partake. As you can see right here, we'll go back to the RSI. It's like a 10, 12 area right here. Well, the stock is trading at 110 to 120 level. So this dot represents the low point in the RSI. This dot right here represents the trading range in the stock. Now notice what happens later. The stock drops further to a level of 96, 97 bucks. What happens to the RSI? It's actually higher in relation to where it was before. So that should not be happening. If you see the stock actually dropping lower, so should the RSI. But it's not. And partly, if you analyze the chart, it is because at this point it is dropping on lower volume. And that really tells you, when you look at the accumulation distribution, that majority of the sellers are out. In other words, the reason the strength is actually increasing, because when it was dropping here, there was an abundance of sellers. Well, over the last couple of months, it looks like everybody that wanted to sell, had an opportunity to sell, they did sell. So we're at a point where accumulation distribution is one of the lowest points, but shows a little tiny bit uptick here, and it coincides with these two white candles right here, guys. So we're finally seeing some bites, some bullish activity coming in. So that's why we think this bullish divergence could actually produce some results. We could see the stock easily back to these levels of 111. So what we're considering doing is buying some calls, 100, 103 strike, okay, ahead of the earnings report, and possibly adding after the earnings report. Now, do not put any big positions, okay, going into the earnings calls for many reasons. I mean, yes, the options are going to be overpriced. Yes, the move may not come to 111. I mean, just pop like a $5, $6 pop. Now, there is a possibility actually it could go all the way to 120. If you look at the weekly chart, guys, it's quite simple. Once the stock has made this bearish crossover, or the death cross, it happened about a level of 180, 170. It dropped all the way to 97. Guys, that's close to a 50% drop in the stock. So typically, if you study the history of death crosses, once the death cross happens, you can expect anywhere from 10 to 30% drop. So this drop is actually very excessive if you study the history of death crosses. And these drops of 50%, they don't sustain themselves at these crazy levels. So typically you would expect a bounce. And we look further at the MACD. The MACD is actually bullish for the very first time. We're seeing some signs in a long time where this bullish crossover could be taking place. And if last time you studied this bullish crossover took place here, we went from 160 to like 180. So that's a $20 pop. Even if we don't get a $20 pop here, even if we get a $5, $10 pop here, the trade could still be very profitable, guys. If we compare Bidu in relation to, say, BABA, Alibaba, Alibaba has been quite strong, and some of the other Chinese stocks have been quite strong in this sector. So the fact that, you know, institutions now, they're loaded on stocks like BABA and it's hitting some levels, it could be reasonable to assume that with any good news from Bidu in the earnings report, that could actually commit some capital to buying some Bidu shares. So because the lag is so strong in the price action between some of the core stocks like BABA and typically BABA and Bidu, they pretty much go step and step together. And this time, Bidu is just lagging by so much that on any positive news, we think it could really gap up higher by tomorrow, the next day.